Hello everyone. If you are joining me for the first time, this is Ramzy Baroud with the Palestinian View. Today, we will talk about the massacre of Sabra and Shatila. But before we start, please make sure that you do not miss our content. Please subscribe somewhere on the screen so that you get notified anytime we post a new video. September 16th marks the 40th anniversary of the Sabra and Shatila massacre, the killings of around 3,000 Palestinians at the hands of Lebanon's Phalangist militias operating under the command of the Israeli army. 4 decades have passed, yet no measure of justice has been received by the survivors of the massacre. Many of the Israeli and Phalange commanders who have ordered the invasion of Lebanon, orchestrated or carried out the heinous massacre in the 2 Palestinian refugee camps in 1982 have already died. Ariel Sharon, who was implicated by the official Israeli Kahan Commission a year later for his indirect responsibility for the grisly mass killings and rape, later rose in ranks to become, in 2001, Israel's prime minister. Even prior to the Sabra and Shatila massacre, Sharon's name was always affiliated with mass murders and large-scale destruction. The Israeli Prime Minister at the time, Menachem Begin, also died, exhibiting no remorse whatsoever for the killings of over 17,000 Lebanese, Palestinians, and Syrians in the 1982 invasion of Lebanon. Numerous testimonies from those who arrived at the refugee camp after the days of slaughter depict a reality that requires deep reflection, not only among Palestinians, Arabs, and especially Israelis, but also humanity as a whole. Like this letter written by the late American journalist Janet Lee Stephen to her husband. Or this testimony of Dr. Sui Chai Ang, who had just arrived in Lebanon as a volunteer surgeon and stationed at the Red Crescent Society in the Gaza hospital in Sabra and Shatila. The war changed Lebanon forever, and following the forced exile of thousands of Palestinian men along with the entire PLO leadership, Palestinian communities in Lebanon were left politically vulnerable, socially disadvantaged, and economically isolated. However, even during that horrific Israeli war on Lebanon 40 years ago, some Western leaders repeated the same tired mantra: Israel has the right to defend itself. For Palestinians, Sabra and Shatila will always be an open wound, and the case will never be dropped. In her essay, Avenging Sabra and Shatila, Kifah Subhi Afifi described the joint Phalangist Israeli attack on her refugee camp when she was only 12 years old. This is what she told me. So we ran, trying to stay as close to the walls of the camp as possible. That is when I saw the piles of their dead bodies all around. Children, women, and men mutilated or groaning in pain as they were dying. Bullets were flying everywhere. People were falling all around me. I saw a father using his body to protect his children, but they were all shot and killed anyway. Though Israeli massacres are meant to bring an end to Palestinian resistance, unwittingly they fuel it. When Israel continues to act with impunity, Palestinians also continue to resist. This is not just the lesson of Sabra and Shatila, but the bigger lesson of the Israeli occupation of Palestine as well. Before you leave, I have a question for you. How long do you think Israel will continue to act with impunity against Palestinians, Lebanese, and its other Arab neighbors? I look forward to reading your comments below. Until next time, this was Ramzy Baroud with the Palestinian View.